Let's call to order the committee of the whole meeting at 1 o'clock on March 11th, 2026. We're going to go with approval of the agenda. Recommendation of the committee of the whole meeting agenda for March 11th, 2026 be adopted as circulated. Councillor Evans, Councillor Rich, all in favor, and that is carried. Thank you. Recommendation of the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting held on January 28th, 2026 be adopted. Councillor Evans, Councillor Bailey, all in favor. Thank you. Carried. Partnership agreement SL-100 stage Darrell. There's a recommendation that the committee support the partnering between the District of Sicamous and Thompson Okanagan Professional Sound Limited Lees Music AV for the operation and deployment of the district's stage line SL-100 mobile stage. Could I get a mover on that? Councillor Rich, Councillor Evans. Okay, Darrell, take it away.
Sure. Through the chair. Yeah, I just want to introduce you to partnership agreement, a potential partnership agreement. District Sicamous and Thompson Okanagan Professional Sound, which is a local sound company. We were approached by them a number of months ago, asking if such an arrangement could happen where we would then use of our unutilized asset of a stage, an SL-100 that we've bought in 2016. Historically, we've used it for district events. We are at the day. Those things are not expected to change at all in wording, but like Billboard Company has expressed an interest to have that stage on the road a little more often and to share some revenue with the district. So it's not unlike some arrangements we've had in the past years with SW Sound in Kelowna, where they farmed out our stage for events and got some revenue from that. That's kind of dried up in the last few years, so I think it's a good opportunity to increase that revenue stream. We did put it out publicly, and we did an expression of interest public. There was just the one submission, so we've worked on a bit of a partnership agreement. I've attached it for your review. If you'd like staff to proceed in pursuing this kind of arrangement with Okanagan Professional Sound. So there'd be a public notification part of it, and then we bring it to council for a formal resolution. So.
Thanks, Darrell. Questions? Councillor Bushel and Councillor Rich and Councillor Bailey.
Yeah, just a quick one, Darrell. I noticed on the liability insurance and all that, do we have any like ICBC insurance on it? Will it be our plate or their plate? You know?
We have insurance on it for our events. We're asking in the agreement that they would list us on the insurance certificate. Yeah. So
yeah, I was just curious if it need to have ICBC insurance on it, but if you got it covered, that's good.
Just also we'll make double sure that we've got all the coverage.
Through the chair, yeah, just more of a statement. Mike Miltmore is fairly new to our community, but what he has given back is huge, and I think this is an amazing partnership for our town. I'm excited.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think this is good. I mean, we've had that stage and we hardly monetize it at all. So if it gets used and we get some money in return, then to me it's a win-win. So and I mean it's great to do this with businesses as well. So whenever we get a chance to do that, this looks like a good deal. $1,000 a shot, not bad.
No, I think it's I concur with everyone. I think it's a great idea. The company we were using before is kind of hit and miss. And Mike knows what he's doing, and he's, to Councillor Rich's point, he's a huge contributor to the community. He's moved his business here. He does a lot of our AV and sound in our buildings and for, events here. So I think it's a great idea. Bianca, go ahead.
And just to talk numbers a bit. So last year we only made $4,000 on the stage. So that's 4 days rented out. This agreement would follow the same fee structure that we currently are making. So it's still $1,000 a day. And this year we budgeted on the higher end compared to last year of 8,000. So if we see how it's going this summer, hopefully we can bump up that revenue for next year's budget, depending on how this first year goes.
Perfect, thank you. Malcolm, Counselor Evans, anything?
I'm good. I agree with everybody.
I agree with all the comments too. Thank you for checking.
Thank you. Okay, it's called the question. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you, Daryl. Okay, we have a notice of motion. Counselor Bailey, the following motion related to the school district 83's policy of not permitting alcohol at after-hours private events booked at Eagle River Secondary School is being brought forward for discussion. And there is a resolution that the school district 83 board be requested to reconsider their policy and allow for regulated legal alcohol licenses after our community events such as community gatherings, memorials, fundraising to be held at Eagle River Secondary School Gymnasium. So Councillor Bailey, do you want to?
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I guess there's been some really positive movement on this at the school board, and they made a decision last time. And so maybe what I should do is just preface why it was and it is still important, I think, to support what the school board is doing in the renewal of their policy. I think this was a really big issue in our community. There was a lot of community groups that said, we need to be able to use, the high school gym for key community groups, like one of them being obviously the sled set loose event. And that has been held without incident at that school for multiple years. And sometimes what happens in government, as we all well know, is that policy changes get made without thinking through all of the implications of what that might have. And I think that was a perfect example of where it came to our attention. I think it came to everybody's attention. Yes, let's say it was where they were told that they could not possibly have that event. And there's no other community event space that could hold 250 people in this community other than the school. So it becomes a very critical kind of community asset. And it is a public asset. And I want to commend Councillor Rich for really doing a lot of work on this. And we saw just by the amount of letters of support for this change, how the community really felt about this. And I want to commend the school board also. My understanding is last night they directed staff to go forward and amend that policy. And that'll be coming back to them at a later time. So I guess what I should do here really is amend what we're asking them to do, or to recognize their support, thank them for making this change. But the idea behind it before was not trying to tell them what to do, but trying to be an active participant in consultation and feedback to some of these issues. And I would certainly hope the school board, if we ever did anything that negatively impacted them and their operations, knowing or unknowingly, that they would send us a resolution as well, saying, hey, this doesn't work for us. And I think that would be a wonderful thing, because a lot of times, as I said, we make tweaks and we don't really understand the unintended consequences. And I think this is where this fell into, right? Thinking, oh yeah, this is good, or it won't have that big of an impact. So when we do things like that, it does help for everybody to come to the table and say, I want to let you know that it did have an impact, and here's why. So, and that's what Councillor Rich did, and I was happy to put forward this motion, but I think what we should do is change it a little bit right now and have it as a thank you for considering it, and thank you for directing your staff to amend it, and we appreciate the support. So.
Quick comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just for that, Ian, so the resolution is just up for discussions, and because that would be brought forward.
Okay.
In reading your resolution, and from what I understand, I don't think the resolution really requires it. You're still putting a support. They're going to come back and revisit it. That's the only direction. So I don't think it's out of line.
Okay.
The resolution, I wouldn't suggest, has to be amended. There's not something dramatic that's happened. They're going to revisit the policy, and I think by writing your letter with the resolution supports, I wouldn't change recommend you change your recommendation at this point.
Okay, as long as you feel like that is still within the spirit of it, like I said, the spirit of the resolution was to just bring forward the information for the school board to consider. I think they've done that, and I guess maybe the only thing I'll just add, not on here, is a thank you. And I think the letter could reflect that, is saying thank you very much. They did their job, like I really feel like the school board had a chance to hear, and that's what we all do. We sit around here too, we hear things, so, yeah.
Thanks, Councillor Bailey. Councillor McCabe? You're frozen. Shake it off. There we go.
In the past, council is, hello?
Yep, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear
Okay.
us?
Yeah, in the past, council has, yes. In the past, council has, advocated strongly to keep a school open in Sicamous. Involved in the policy of the school board, I don't think, in my opinion, that's a mandate of council to get involved in policy decisions of the school board. And that's my opinion.
Thanks, Councillor McCabe. Councillor Rich?
Through the chair. So I was at the meeting last night, which was made very clear all through that I was there as a citizen, as a parent, as a past PAC representative, as a volunteer. I do have 15 letters, I believe. So if anybody wants to take a look at the letters of support from our community, I'm more than happy to get you copies. It was a huge shout out. The way our community stepped up and said, we absolutely need this space. We don't have anywhere that can host 250 people, and it's not a competition for other spaces. A couple of the other spaces wrote letters and just said, you know what, this isn't, we're asking for, there's a few funerals a year for our leads in our community, people that have been part of our community forever. And Elle Hyde's wife came and spoke. And I'm just going to read off my phone. So what happened last night, and generally policies don't get changed in the same day, but I do need to speak to the trustees because they really stepped up. They listened to us. They heard what we had to say as a community. So there was a motion from the board to make an additional exception for the community, the current administration procedure, which undergoes review, which was for Elle Hyde's funeral. So now Kim can hold Elle's funeral, which she was holding off from. She did not want to take his celebration of life outside of our community. And they gave her the space to do that. And moving forward, there will be many people in our community that pass that we need that space for. And they shouldn't have to go to Salmon Arm or Revelstoke or wait to the Sunshines to hold these celebrations of life. So that was really important. And then the other thing that happened, which again, the board doesn't change policy same day, but what they did last night was actually a huge step, because it often they mull on it and stuff. And they said, you know what, we hear you, people of Sicamous. And what they said was, as well, made a motion to the policy board to create a new policy to address the facility used to include alcohol upon approval of usage. So things that could have maybe taken months and months, which our trustees all spoke to. Brent Jennings, shout out to Brent Jennings, our trustee, and to Neil and the rest of the board. They recognized how important this space is for Sicamous. And they are now starting to push it. It's gone back to policy, and hopefully in the next couple of months, this will be finished, and we will be able to use our schools at their discretion with proper permitting. So for me, I'm asking that the town of or district of Sicamous supports this. This is really important. We have long residents here. And I mean, that is one of our biggest things. Sled Sicamous made $72,000. That was their biggest event ever, that they made that much money, and they couldn't have held it and made that kind of money without that space. And we do have probably 2 to 3 funerals a year with very, people that give back their entire lives to this community, and they should not be asked to leave the community to have those celebrations.
Thank you. Councillor Bushel?
Yeah, through the chair. Yeah, there was, last night, there was one trustee that actually abstained. And she kind of felt the same way Malcolm feels. And there was trustee Tennille. She indicated that, she sits on the policy board. And she said, we get elected to set, to governance, but also to set policies. And she said, you cannot, and, they debated back and forth for a bit. And she said, no, we're here to set policy. And this policy was they missed it somehow. It was missed. But anyways, they want to go back and amend it. That was the motion. So yeah, it was good. It was really good.
Bianca?
And just, I listened into the meeting too. There was a little bit confusion and staff, it's getting taken back to staff. If this in particular issue should be an operational policy, if that's what it's currently getting treated as, or if it's more of a governance level, because it is access to public facilities. So that's one thing that was taken back to staff to determine where best that part is to lie. So.
Thank you. That's Rich.
Through the chair. So not to argue with you, Bianca, but I did follow up this morning, and it will be going back to policy. So they work like how we have a planning meeting, and the people that are elected as planners are not our planners, and then our two elected officials that sit and chat about that. So that's what it's going to go back to. So there will be a trustee there and then staff, but it is going back to policy.
Okay, and just to add, I spoke to the superintendent yesterday as well. And that's why the policy was put on the agenda, because I just want to put some context around why they made that decision and how they made the decision and when they made the decision. So I was under the impression, to start with, that was a provincially mandated decision that schools didn't have alcohol, which was incorrect. My information was incorrect. So I stand corrected. But the new policy was introduced in 2025 by the School District 83. And it was posted on School District 83's website for, 6 to 8 weeks, which was where you had to go to learn to find out that their policy was changing. So we missed it there. So, and the reason for the policy change, according to the superintendent and their trustees, their group, was optics and insurance. The board decided that optics for the school student education would be a direction of health habits, discouraging drugs, alcohol, vaping, that kind of behavior. Understanding that this stuff takes place after school. So I get that, and so do they. But they have had some litigations issues to defend with rental of the school gymnasium. And so they were also looking at mitigating the risk as well as a healthier environment. But the rental events without alcohol were still allowed. It was just the alcohol portion that was removed from the policy. So, but in the policy, and I think this came to light with the snowmobile club, was the policy did allow for an exemption. So, but I don't think anyone went back and into the policy to figure it all out. But I do believe in the policy that was given to us yesterday, you can apply for an exemption. So however they want to deal with it now, the school board is wants to work with Sycamoose, and we want to work with the school board. So there is really, that was the information I received from the superintendent yesterday. So working together is the goal, and they are happy to review and work with us. So yeah, that was the messaging in there, and their explanation about how that got changed just recently and how we missed it, obviously, but there still is an exemption. Councillor Rich, Councillor Bushel, Councillor Bailey.
Yeah, through the chair. And there was some debate yesterday. And somehow they could not find, and not the school board, not the trustees. The trustees felt that they did not, is a live meeting, open meeting, that they actually did not get that information, that the policy was changed without it ever going through the trustees. So that's kind of where a bit of the debate. I also did some research myself, and there has never been a police call. There's never been a drunk driving incident. There's never been a fight. There's never been an incident within Sicamous in local past history where there has been an incident at our school. And I'm not going to quote Brent Jennings, but there has, I believe that the legal actions didn't have to do with alcohol in the school gymnasium. It's rentals to do with something else. And don't quote me on that, but I've done a lot of research on that and I haven't found anything on that. Within our own school at Eagle River, and we're talking rural schools, a place like Salmon Arm or Armstrong that has other opportunities with large spaces, we're a bit different. But our school that has been rented out with the use of alcohol since I was a kid, so let's go 21 years ago, has never had a incident involving ambulance, police, or fire. So I think we really need to just, again, and they also get the opportunity, you have to have your insurance, you have to have your proper liquor licensing, and at the end of the day, they have a right to say, we will or will not take this event. So if it was an event they were uncomfortable with, they absolutely can deny it. We're not asking them to open it up. It's still on them. But facilities can get insurance, just like we have insurance on our buildings, that covers them. So it's a third-party liability, but as long as you have all your paperwork in, then I feel like Sicamous should put that support letter out to have that use of that building.
Thank you. Just for clarification, I don't mean just Sicamous. They have 25 schools. So when I had the conversation with the superintendent about some litigation, it may not be here. It obviously isn't here. But she was just mentioning that they were trying to mitigate risk. So, and that there was some, but I'm not saying it's here. So, and of course, and 25 schools, and we are unique. We don't have a lot of schools or communities do have a facility that they can use, like a community center. And we are unique because this is what can hold 250 people, and we really want to encourage, we'd like to encourage people to use our community health center because that is sustainability and looks after the maintenance and things like that. So as much as we can use our community facility, our healthcare center, which is 200 people, we'd like to encourage that as well because we do see the revenue on that. So, but no, I am not saying the litigation was in Sicamous. Obviously, it was not. I'm just saying there's 25 schools in the district. I didn't get into specifics. Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, through the chair, and just one kudos out to the chair, Carolyn, there. She did, like, not this time, but the meeting before, she did her homework and she checked all the province of BC, and there's lots of other districts that allow it, and their school boards. Yeah, it would just be, you'd hate to see something like, I mean, sure, I know our new facility holds 200, but you get 175 max with it. When you get all the auctioneer stuff in the band and all in there, you're lucky to fit 175 in there, but it would be a shame to see Sled Sicamous have to go to Rebelsburg and do an event.
Yes.
Right? And you lose all the business from that.
Councillor Bailey.
Well, and picking up on that, that was the real risk that we were faced with here, is that it's not a question of, oh, well, we'll just move to another one. No, it would have moved out of the community, that event especially, because when you start doing a dinner and auction and you're selling 75 less tickets, it's huge. It's a huge amount of money. I mean, this is by far the biggest event that we had in the winter. It continues, I think, to grow. Like this year was an incredible year for them. And it's central to helping our economy get through the winter. So we want to be able to, they're tapped out at 250. I mean, that room, I was there obviously catering it, others are there. It looked incredible. Mike Miltmore was there, the stage looked professional, I mean, it was the only venue you could have done that at. And there are some, just events that will be that big. And then others will easily fit into our community health center, which is also a great venue, like wonderful. But we just need that full spectrum of availability, and that's why I really commend the school board for recognizing that. Because like I said, we do policies and sometimes you pass stuff, we do this here, where it's in something else and then you think it's this and or staff think it's that, but then you have a different interpretation later. And I think that's what happened here. Because I know it's like said with the space that there was an understanding that everything was the same, but then it wasn't. But what we do in government is we cross with it. And this is a perfect example of it, is nobody and not everything is perfect all the time. But you go, okay, I've heard it, and that's what the school board did last night, and they huge props to them, like really great decision, and it's the right thing for our community, and I know people here will really appreciate it. And it's nice to have options, right? It's nice to have our community space, it's nice to have the school available, and it just allows our community to have a bunch of different things that meet our needs, and that's all this was about. So yeah, it was great. I think this is really nice thing, and it shows that government does work, right? I think a lot of times people say, we're bureaucratic, whatever, but here's a perfect example of where an issue was raised and it's gone to a very good conclusion.
Yes, and the school board working with the district of Sycamoose is brilliant. We should always be communicating and always be working. Okay, all right, let's move on. Dean, did you want to add anything?
No, so this is on your regular agenda, so the motion is being introduced here. To introduce the motion for discussion at this meeting. It's on the regular agenda, so you'll actually vote on the resolution at the regular meeting. As I mentioned, the resolution and its reading still makes sense because the board hasn't adopted the changes. They've sent it back to their policy. It's going to come through as a further policy for them to review. So the resolution still is logical to their process. We'll send forward that resolution if it's adopted at the regular meeting, and that'll be the process that happens.
Can I just add to that?
Yeah, you can.
And then just if it is adopted and are carried and we move it forth in the resolution letter that gets sent, we'll put the just the reflection of the thank you for them.
Yes.
For their conversation and of their reconsideration that we're supporting through this, the district is through the motion.
Yeah, that's good. That's what's missing. Yeah. Okay. Let's move along then. Okay, we're going to super quick. We're going to Mayor and Council reports. Councillor Evans, what you got going on this past week?
Good afternoon. I attended the annual meeting for Okanagan Regional Library, and our CEO will come and visit us soon here, and we're grateful to have a library in Sycamoose, so I was glad to do that. And I also attended the early years meeting and got to hear about all the good things going on, like people helping our kids with speech pathology and teaching them how to read, and all the agencies involved in that. So I'm very excited about what's going on in Sycamoose, and pretty short report.
Thank you. Councillor Rich.
Through the chair, first of all, I want to thank the Eagles. So didn't finish with the win, but you know what? The boys worked hard. And again, just incredible community members. We bring these kids in from all over Canada and they volunteer and help out, and all the volunteers that keep the Eagles going. And you know what? You find me a venue anywhere on Friday night that you're going to have 200 to 300 people from Sycamoose out there, shout out. Attended the school District 83 meeting as Siobhan Rich. Felt like we had a really great meeting. Went to the chamber event at the distillery, which was lots of fun and very well done. And I also got to volunteer this weekend with Eagle Valley Rescue. I was a cook, but they did a training called NFP, common extraction. And this is actually, they can pull people out of cars, but this training program that they did is like beyond provincial. It's Canadian. It's better than what most fire departments do anywhere in Canada. And they had a 2-day training program. We had the CSRD there. We had GVRD, which is Greater Vancouver Regional people. And that was completely hosted by our Eagle Valley Rescue. So it was a pretty cool event. It was pretty cold and rainy, not going to lie, but I was under a tent and everybody else worked 12 hours a day. So yeah, shout out to Eagle Valley Rescue for hosting that and bringing all those people into our community. And there was also lots of businesses that donated rooms, food, different things like that. So that was really great to see and have these folks in our community and to be able to chat with them. They were really impressed with Sicamous and with our Eagle Valley Rescue and what we're doing here. They were like, can't even believe it. So yeah, shout out.
Awesome. Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, through the chair, since our last meeting, been out of town a couple times, but again, yeah, we had a finance meeting. Bianca and staff are busy crunching numbers, keep our numbers in line. I missed the Modi Transportation Planning to Trails meeting, which I don't know if anybody was able to attend that one, but I'm gonna try to find the minutes on it. But I missed that one, and I missed the fire department one last night because I was at the school district delegation. And then, I was at the chamber event. It was really nice at the distillery. They, they've done some upgrades in there. It looks really great. And there was a lot of people there. It was good.
Excellent. Councillor Bailey.
Yeah, I've been out of town for a week, so I'm trying to figure out, I guess the last one was planning and development that we had 2 weeks ago.
I know.
That we attended, and there's some interesting, lots of interesting things up in that committee that will be coming to council. Some you might like, some you might not like, but there'll be interesting things regardless. And certainly one of the more major pieces is the OCP. I think we'll be looking at that in the next planning and development committee. So any councillor that's really super interested can always attend any of those planning and development meetings. But looking forward to pretty busy and active rest of the winter and I guess spring. I guess we're almost in the spring. What are we?
Sprinter.
That's okay. I'm okay with snow. I think the Slenders are okay with snow. So anyways.
Well, Malcolm, do you want to give us a margarita update?
Yeah, not much to report. Clear and sunny. I'll be home Friday. I'll be home Friday.
All right, see you soon. Travel safe. I don't know if I mentioned this last report, but Councillor Bailey and I met with the new chief and 2 of the new councillors for a split scene. So the newly elected chief and a couple of councillors, and we had a great first meeting. We're going to be working on an agenda for council to council coming up. So it was great. It was Dean attended and it was nice. It was refreshing. It was let's work together. So how well that works out, and we're looking forward to it. So reading the OCP. I guess we all should be reading the OCP right now. So I guess all on that. And I did attend the PDC meeting. Like, yes, there is some interesting stuff coming down the pipe. So be good. There's so much going on in Sicamous. It's really positive. So it's great to hear. And as some of you know, but because we were in Cow, and I sent this out just to council, the railway tracks at Hillier Road are and have been a little disgusting since they took the concrete out and put the timber in. So it's been really rough, and I have mentioned it to CPKC, but it came to a head just the other day, so I phoned them and touch, and Daryl's been in touch, and Dean, and today or yesterday they were going to do an inspection, but they did do a little patchwork, but not enough to make a huge difference. It's patchwork, so they will let us know what the solution for that is going to be. 26th, we had a finance, Sigma's finance committee. It was the same day as the CSRD Cal finance meeting, but we were here doing hours. So hats off to the staff for bringing that tax increase to 3.1%. I think that's excellent and taking care of our community. So thanks for that, staff. Had a Zoom meeting on the 27th with Interior Health, and we are working to get closer to a solution of us all working together. And it is getting closer. I know it seems like forever, and it feels like forever for me too, but it's a process. They have planners, they have budgets that they've got to look at, and we're planning and budgeting and specs. And so we're getting there. Yesterday went to the fire hall to meet with we went with the chief and the crew, and that was great. Had a tour of the fire hall, seen the new lockers, and met some new recruits, and recruiting is going well. So hats off to the chief. He's doing a brilliant job, and his team is nice and shiny, and our fire hall's nice and shiny as well. Next week, there's a CSRD meeting that I will be attending, and on the weekend, I'll be heading to Edmonton to the boat show where I walk around inviting people to come and visit Sycamoose for a couple days. So that's it. That's what I've been up to and what I'm up to. So okay, so public input. Is there anyone online?
Tammy Brown.
Okay, go ahead, Tammy.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I had a lot longer speech planned, but listening to Ian and Siobhan, it sounds like the board is already on its way to support what we were looking for with regards to the school. I'm just wanted to briefly say I'm encouraged that the school district has already voted to amend the administration procedure and has granted an exception so that Al Hyde's celebration life can take place locally. And as this work continues, it's important that our own mayor and council lend their support as well. Schools are taxpayer-funded community assets, and in rural communities like Simcomoose, they have long served as essential gathering spaces when we need larger facilities. In a small community like ours, spaces like these allow people to come together for the moments that matter most, to celebrate, to support one another, and sometimes just to say goodbye. So I respectfully encourage the mayor and council to support this work as it moves forward so rural communities like Sycamoose can continue to gather locally during life's most meaningful moments. And that's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Tammy. Anyone else?
Nope, no one else online.
Okay, well, that just wraps us up. We're going to adjourn the Cal meeting at 1:38. Can I get a mover? Councillor Evans, Councillor Rich, all in favor? Thank you. We'll see everyone back at 5.